Ostapenko defeats Iga Swiatek for a 6th time in a row. I can't quite believe it. And Carlos Alcaraz, he's looking for back-to-back tournament wins in Barcelona. This episode, we're going through it all.
It's finals time on the clay, and we've got men's and women's events. We're going to be covering them all today on this episode. So if you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe to Game to Love, and let's get straight into it. You've mentioned two of the real big stories, and that is Alcaraz surfing into yet another final, quite literally with his new celebration, and Ostapenko beating Iga for a 6th time in a row, this time on the clay courts. It's Iga's first clay court event of the year. We know she is the best clay court player of the last 3 years or so. And it's a very, very unordinary statistic. And I would say these are the real big stories. Of course, there's a few others we'll speak about. But let's start with this one. Is it a case of Ostapenko plays very well against Iga? Or is it that Iga can't deal with Ostapenko?
I think it's a bit of both, to be honest. I think when you see that person down the other end of the court, you get a bit nervous. But on the other hand, I think Ostapenko is the type of player she relishes like just destroying certain players who are at the top of the game. And Iga being one of those players, I think she gets off on it, like actually taking the level up a bit, hitting for every single shot like a big winner. It was an amazing performance again by Ostapenko. And this one, to do it on clay, after the match, she said, I'm a Roland Garros champion as well. You got to remember that. And you do have to remember, she is good on all surfaces, Ostapenko. And Iga just must be sick to the teeth of playing Ostapenko. And when will she ever get her first win against her?
Yeah, if you zoom out a little bit with Iga, it's not looked great since she served her year ban in December. Since then, she's not won a tournament. So that's something to consider. We know how dominant Iga is. She's yet to win a tournament since her 1-month ban. Is that going to be the same for Jannik Sinner? Only time will tell. He's going to be back very soon. But focusing on this whole... Right, it's not even a rivalry. It's a one-sided beatdown between Ostapenko and Iga. I just think that Iga, I think the occasion of playing Ostapenko now becomes a little bit too much, and Ostapenko seems to always rise to it. She does play, for me, a better level of tennis against Iga than anyone else. She seems more motivated, doesn't make so many mistakes. She hits with that same power, but the unforced errors don't seem to be there. And it was a fantastic performance. It was relatively comfortable, I would say, for Ostapenko. I thought after that second set, I think the third set was in the balance, and maybe most people would have edged Iga after coming through the second. But Ostapenko has a style of play which is very, very difficult to beat if she plays her best. We've said it many times on the men's with the likes of a Jannik Sinner to say, like, if he plays his real top tennis, it's difficult to get close to him. And with Ostapenko, it's just ultra power. It reminds me of like a Fonseca on both sides, and you just can't really get near her when it's going great. And I think that if she can now continue this, she probably has a good chance of winning the whole thing.
Yeah.
And my final point, sorry, Ben, is coming up with Roland Garros. What does this now mean for Iga? Because she's not really hit the ground running on the clay. I'm having some doubts. It's difficult to say too much because we've only seen her play literally the one match and then this one. So 2 matches in total on the clay since this year. I actually have a feeling she's not going to win Roland Garros this year.
Yeah, a little bit early to say. This was an indoor clay court tournament as well, so slightly different as well, but one that she has done very well at in the past. She's normally pretty good here. I think last year she lost to Rybakina at this event. So gradually the tour is catching up with Iga Swiatek's level. I think it was such a high bar that she set when she had that ridiculous over 30 match winning streak anyway, that everybody had to raise their game. Ostapenko always raises her game. I think everybody, if they just want the blueprint, go and look at what Ostapenko does against Iga, and that's how you beat her. I don't ever see anyone else do the same thing to Iga. she scampers from left to right. She looks almost like shocked. Like, how do I get into the rally? Because a second that like Ostapenko pushes her to one side, she comes into the net. She starts dry volleying and doing all of everything under the sun just to win that point against Iga. And you can see the level of frustration from Iga. And even at the end, the handshake, Ostapenko wanted to embrace. You can see she has a little she'd had a little ooh. Iga just touched her hand and was gone.
They really don't like each other. Iga doesn't like losing. I don't think she's the most gracious in defeat. Not to say she wasn't respectful today or in some of the recent ones, but she's not a good loser at all. I don't think Ostapenko is particularly either. So it's a fascinating battle when Ostapenko just keeps winning. And I think she's got a different look in her eyes when she plays Iga. It is this real, it's like a cup final. It's a cup final for Ostapenko. I mean, what the hell is that? That is hideous. That is a hideous image.
I know. Ostapenko through Iga Swiatek's eyes, apparently, today. Rafael Nadal's face superimposed onto Ostapenko's body. That's a sight, isn't it?
Gosh, that is something I want to get out of my mind immediately.
Yeah. It's nice to see Rafa's face back on the screen, but not in the right context, I don't think. Yeah, this is a good one to read out. I think it says among players not to have held the WTA number one, Ostapenko is the third to win her first 6 meetings versus a former or future WTA world number one after Sabatini and, how do I say this? Agnieszka and what's that? Agnieszka Radwanska. Sorry, and versus Pliskova. Sorry, bit of a mouthful there. Carry on, shall we?
Yeah, let's go to what Iga said after the match, because she was asked, "Why on earth can't you beat Ostapenko?" One question which puzzles me, because you're such a big fighter and such a wonderful player, and you win almost against everybody. Why on earth can't you beat Ostapenko? What is it that sort of irritates you? Obviously, because you win against everybody else. And Iga replies, "Did I look irritated today?" And they replied, "Yes. Much more than when I lose overall." Iga went, and they was like, "No, I mean, is there something that you do that do you explain it to yourself?" And Iga, "Well, I think today was a tight match, so for sure I had my chances to win. Before, like, for sure, these matches were different. Like, she went for it and she was smashing every ball kind of perfectly. Today she didn't. She made some mistakes. I had my chances. I just didn't use them." Iga, did you approach the match differently from a technical point of view? Tactical? Honestly, I wasn't able to play anything like any tactics. No, it was pretty simple. I knew what I needed to do. I did that in the second set. So it's just a matter of like keeping it for the whole match. For me, a lot of words didn't really mean too much what her response was. The thing, what it sort of symbolizes to me was, yes, she was irritated. She was like, "Do I see you by your answers, you seem more irritated instantly." And it's quite clear that she's trying to say that Ostapenko didn't play a particularly great game. My eyes felt like she did play a very good match, and there was a lot of good winners from her. So I would put it down to the fact that Ostapenko wanted it a lot more. Iga wasn't at her best, granted. I'll give her some credit, but it still wasn't a terrible level. And I think she cannot deal with this occasion. It is Ostapenko's cup final, this matchup, and she always turns up for the cup final. Iga doesn't.
Yeah, and as we close in on Roland Garros, obviously that is her major stomping ground, Iga, where she really starts to turn it on. This very slow surface, and she takes advantage of that. But are we starting to see the blueprint made for how to beat her? There's been more and more people beating Iga Swiatek of late. And will there be somebody, like you say, topple her at Roland Garros this year? Because it's such a difficult thing to do. But there are more and more players with the weapons now out there on the women's tour to do so. And well, there's some other players playing right now. We've got Paolini, who's up a set, and I think it's a double break against Coco Gauff right now. She's somebody, obviously, who's constantly getting better, and somebody who's been to the final before as well. So Sabalenka, can never rule her out. There's so many names. So yeah, Iga needs to, I don't know, just get back on the horse and just keep on plying her trade. I'm sure she'll definitely be the favourite for Roland Garros as always, but doesn't mean that she's going to win it.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at the live ranking for the WTA. I had a look at the men's earlier, but in the women's one, Sabo is so clear out at number one, over 10,000 points where she's at the moment. She's gaining a few more points here already. Iga dropping minimal 87 points, and not too much, and not many movements really, because I guess the big ones were Rebecca. Her not playing, she lost 500 points, which is quite a big drop down for her. Kostyuk, someone who you've got, she's lost 324 points. But really, I would say this is going to be a big event for a Paolini, someone who is already inside that top 10, who, if she can go on and potentially win this, will consolidate herself right up there with a Coco Gauff, just a little bit behind, but in the top 5 of players.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting come Roland Garros to see where the rankings stand at that point, to see where everybody is on each side of the draw, because I think that's going to be pivotal to seeing who goes further. You just want to make sure you're probably not on Iga's side or Saba if she keeps playing the same way she's playing at the moment too. But that's enough on the Iga subject for now. Let us know in the comment section about the Iga, well, it seems like a kryptonite of Ostapenko. What do you reckon's wrong with this whole matchup? And what does Iga have to do to change the next time they play so it doesn't make it 7-0? But let's move on to the men's anyway. And Carlos Alcaraz, come on, I've been sort of chomping at the bit. I want to talk about Alcaraz. He's just won Monte Carlo. He looks the real deal right now again. And I know that there was a lot of people in the comment section when I did the draw preview saying, who can stop Alcaraz? Stop building him up. He only won one tournament. He's back. Look, let's be serious. Carlos Alcaraz looks, he looks his best right now on the clay, at home, in Spain. It's great to watch.
It's not his favourite surface,
No.
but he would fool you with the way he plays on it because it is very, very dominant. I think he is best on clay in comparison to a lot of the other players he plays. I think it's difficult to master the clay courts, and because he's so versatile on all surfaces, maybe for him it's not his favourite, but he definitely is able to beat a lot more players, I would say, on a clay court than that than that of a hard court. Followed up another big victory against Arthur Fees. This is a tough match as well. Fees is on form, someone who's very good on clay. He's beaten some big players in the round before. Who was the player he beat just before?
Who, Arthur Fees?
Yeah, you bring that up while I go for it. It was a good one. He's now 24-5 in 2025. It's 9 consecutive wins, 14 in Barcelona, and 22 consecutive sets. 24 ATP finals at 21 years old. It's completely different to Iga in the sense that I now look at him as like a real big favourite for Roland Garros. It's going to be interesting to see how Sinner comes back and fits into that. But for me, he is the best clay court player in the world. You then look at the likes of a Rune and a Tsitsipas, who are very good clay court players, but I just don't think they've got the same physicality, power, and just tactical ability, or even just tennis IQ and level as what an Alcaraz does to even get close to him.
Yeah, it was Tsitsipas, but it was a retirement from Tsitsipas after 2 games, against Arthur Fees. I think that the amazing thing about this match from Alcaraz against Fees, I thought that this was actually going to be close, and I thought it was. I had this as my semi-final as well in the draw preview, and I thought it was going to go 3 sets again because of their last meeting was 3 sets, and it was quite close. This one, you can tell he's learned from that last matchup against Arthur Fees, and Arthur Fees looked so frustrated on the court. You could see him shouting to his box. He was just like, FNL. He's like, everything I serve at him, it just comes back like twice as fast. It's just, there's no 3 points against Alcaraz on the clay, it seems. And that's just a worrying sign. I'd say Arthur Fees is right up there with some of the best clay court players right now, and he's absolutely destroyed him in straight sets. And it wasn't even close, really. It looked like completely different levels that they were on. And Holger Rune is who he's meeting in the final, having a great tournament. I like the fact that we said that he was going to have a good year. He was going to have a bit of resurgence, and it's happening. Doesn't happen often that we predict something.
Did I predict that as well?
Yeah, we both had him in our top 10, said he was going to have a good year, and he seems to be gradually coming back. I think there's a bit more certainty with his team and all the people around him. And that's the main thing that he needed all along. He beat Khachanov, who was in form, and yeah, looks good.
I think my theory remains though. It's when Sinner's not here. He seems to shine when Sinner's not about. The moment Sinner comes back, Rune is going to struggle again. But for now, he is inside the top 10. 2 finals for the year, playing against some good players there. You've got Baez, Rude,
even
winning. Ramos, I think he's past it now, Ben, to be fair.
True, but still.
He's almost as old as you, Ramos.
Casper Ruud, though, is last year's champion, I believe, wasn't he?
That was the biggest one. I thought beating Ruud in the manner he did was impressive. And I do believe maybe Holger Rune, his best surface, I think, could be a clay court too.
Yeah, it's definitely an intriguing matchup. And it is one I did see some people posting saying, I'm so happy for this final because it's one we sort of have been starved of a little bit. We don't get to see Alcaraz versus Rune. We were sort of hoping we would get that in loads of finals, but Rune has not ever really stepped up to the mark, and it's Sinner's been there. Even had the likes of Musetti as well recently. Now Holger Rune, he's seeing what other people are doing. He's pushing forward. Is he good enough to beat Alcaraz in the final, though? That's the big question. And for me, I'm not so sure.
And this has got to be the first time they've played each other right in a final.
I think so, yeah.
Let me have a look at their previous matches. So they've played, I don't think I'm going to mention that. That looks like an exhibition. But Wimbledon, Alcaraz won 3-love. Rune beat him in Paris. Do you remember that one? That was famous where Alcaraz struggled with the crowd and everything around there in Paris.
Yep.
And then Alcaraz, I'm not sure what that one is. That another exhibition? Is they only played twice properly?
Yeah, I put the actual legit head-to-head here on the screen for us. There you go. So we got obviously you got this one, which was the round
next gen finals. Yeah. I mean, it's really just 2 matches, I guess, to really look into. One of them being that retirement, so it's strange. Not much to go off, I feel. It's a matchup we've not seen enough to really to get interested in. We didn't see it at all in 2024. So I'm fascinated to see the first one on a clay court in a final as well. Should be really good. And I'm fascinated to see if Rune plays like he does when he plays a Djokovic in a final.
Well, talking of finals, somebody who's pretty damn good in a final is Carlos Alcaraz. That's why I put these stats up on the screen.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Just insane. Like Grand Slam level, 4 wins, no losses in finals. Masters 1000, 6 wins, 1 loss in the final. ATP 500 seems he gets worse the less the tournament gets. He's got 6 wins, 2 losses in ATP 500s, 2 wins, 1 loss at 250 level. And the Olympic Games, obviously, it was against Djokovic. He's only had one of them. Sure,
but that's the most shocking. That Olympics Games loss. Was it last year or the year before?
Yeah,
I'm losing track of time. Last year.
Yep.
Was ridiculous. I did not expect that at all. I really felt like going into that he was going to blow Djokovic away, and that's credit to Djokovic. It's one of the more surprising results I've ever seen on Game to Love, and maybe you shouldn't underestimate Djokovic. I've been told many times by everyone, but this just didn't seem possible, especially the way this guy plays on the clay court.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's going to be one I think is going to be very difficult for him to take, even now looking back on it, but. You look at all the others, I think it does soften the blow. He is fantastic in finals. I agree with you. I do expect him to be the winner come Sunday, but you never know. Holger Rune, I do think he's a big game player and has the ability to raise his level. So we could be in for a really good match and something we've not seen much of before.
I was just having a quick look here to see Holger Rune's results in finals as well. So we got Masters. He's won 1, lost 3 finals.
Not good, is it?
Yeah, lost 1 at ATP 500 level, 250s, 3 wins, 2 losses. So, yeah, not quite the same level as Alcaraz. More things can change. Like, records are there to be broken. Alcaraz isn't like impenetrable, is he? He
No.
can be beaten. We've seen him be beaten on the courts of Paris at the Olympics, even just after he won Roland Garros.
For sure.
So anything is possible in tennis, and that's why we love the sport. And speaking of anything happening in tennis, something very weird happened on the women's today. I don't know if you saw it. Sabalenka. I don't know if you agree with this. I thought, yeah, it's funny, but I still think it's a bit weird to bring your mobile phone onto a tennis court and then start taking photos of ball marks on the clay. What do you make of it?
I've not seen it live. I know you was telling me before. So the umpire refused to check a mark. So Sabalenka gathered evidence, never seen anything like it. So I'm assuming this was done in the changeover, right?
Yeah, I believe so. And then she was asked about it here. Said, I felt the referee was pissed by the picture I took when I gave her a handshake. That was a very interesting look and a strong handshake as well at the end.
Yeah, I don't really have too much of an opinion on it. It doesn't surprise me. I didn't see it live, so I can't comment too much on the context of it all. But from what I'm seeing, yeah, it doesn't surprise me much that this is. I feel like it is very in character with Sabalenka, but she keeps winning. I don't think it impacted the match or anything. So
yeah, it just seems weird to just come back out on court with your mobile phone. I don't think it's necessary. I think that she just sometimes gets a little bit wound up and trying to prove a point. Something bad going on in Germany, and it's not the fact that Ben Shelton's made it to a clay court final, which I'm surprised about.
Yeah.
Something bad going on in the Zverev match. Don't know if you saw this one. Somebody's shouting out, "Let's go, you effing wife beater." What did you?
Yeah.
It's terrible to be shouting this at a tennis match.
It is, but it doesn't surprise me much either. I have seen this one. With Zverev, I think, unfortunately, all of the off-court incidents will follow him around forever, and people will always make reference to it. And it's difficult for him, as much as he's not guilty, for him to really clear his name. And that's, I think, a little bit unfortunate on his part. And I'm not a massive fan of him, but at the end of the day, he is not a guilty man in this case. So I feel like people need to try and move on past it. Comment on his tennis, comment on him as some of the way he is sometimes, and if you don't like that, but to keep going after the same thing, I think we need to draw a line under it and move on. But obviously that may not be a popular opinion, but I trust the due process on the courts.
Shocks me that it's in Germany as well. Obviously, being in his home courts, you'd expect it to happen maybe somewhere else. But yeah, being shouted in German.
It can happen anywhere. We don't know who it was.
So. No, exactly. Yeah. Shocking anyway to hear that type of thing shouted at any tennis match. Terrible. With Zverev, though, obviously we've been talking a lot of negative things about him, his actual tennis, and he hasn't been doing too well. Ever since the chance to be number one was on the line, he's just been terrible and going out of all the tournaments until this one. Now he's into a final, and since he's dropped down to number 3 in the world, he now has the chance to go back to number 2 again. But I think this is all dependent if Carlos Alcaraz loses his final. So if Zverev wins and Alcaraz loses, Zverev's back up again.
Yeah, it's very tight. So Sinner, 9,930 points. Alcaraz, 8,050. And Zverev, 7,915 as it stands. The maximum Alcaraz can make is 8,220. That's if he wins the event. Whereas the maximum Zverev can make is 8,085. Which would obviously, like you say, be enough if Carlos doesn't win the event, but he'd have to lose the final. Does it really matter? I think not, because there's going to be still some events between now and Roland Garros. And I think the big thing is really just for the seeding for that. It does make a difference, I think, between second and third seed, because you can ensure that you'll only play Yannick Sinner in a final. You don't want to have to play him in a semi, then someone else in a final. So I think it is quite a big deal between the two of them, especially how good they can be on a clay court, and especially how good they've been over the last 3 years or so at Roland Garros. You could probably argue they've been the best two players over the last 3 years at Roland Garros, which is crazy to say because Rafa's dominated the event for so much. But I think these two have kind of eclipsed him in recent years. So...
he might be eclipsing everybody this Roland Garros though, because the big send off for Rafa Nadal, isn't there? There's been some clips being put around on social media. It looks pretty dramatic, emotional. I quite like it though. There's a big build up to this Roland Garros because of that, and he hasn't had the send off he deserved. Everyone can agree on that. Whatever went on with Davis Cup, all of that, it was not good. It just wasn't the send off Rafa needed. This is the proper one. We're building up. It's going to be a tearjerker. It's going to be videos of Rafa when he was a baby hitting a tennis ball, and then him winning all of these slams, all of those Roland Garroses. Yeah, it's going to be an emotional roller coaster. I'm looking forward to Roland Garros this year, just because I think it's going to be one of the most competitive on both men's and women's that we've seen in a while. There's no guarantee who's going to win it, and I love the return of Sinner happening in it as well.
Yeah, if we're going into a Roland Garros where we really don't know who's going to win, and I don't think Iga's going to win on the women, so it's open on both men's and women's, like you say. Rafa finally getting a proper send off, which is great. Is Ben Shelton a threat for Roland Garros?
I'm surprised he's
looking good on clay, isn't he? Well, he was quite. I don't know. Fortunate's not the right word, maybe, but he did a good job. It was very It was very close between him and Cerundolo. Nothing separated them. Cerundolo probably should have closed it out and won the match. Yes. He didn't. Took his opportunities in the tiebreak, Ben Shelton, then come on one. And now we're going to have a really good match up in the final. Zverev will be pleased because I think Cerundolo is a better clay court player. So it's going to mean that Zverev is more of a favourite to win. But then Shelton, proving that he can play on the clay courts. We know what his serve's like. It could be a good test.
Yeah, I'm actually excited. The fact that how many years ago he hadn't even left America and played on any clay courts properly, not the European clay anyway. Now he's made a final in Munich. It's exciting. I think Zverev will be happy. I think Zverev will win this event. Being in Germany as well will help him, I think, as well. So I'm going to probably be going for Alcaraz and Zverev, and that means the rankings will probably stay exactly the same.
Yeah, and I don't know if you noticed, Ben Shelton's girlfriend was in the crowd watching him for the first time live. And he did say that he's not going to lose the first time his girlfriend comes to watch him. So I think that pushed him on against Cerundolo.
That's a good motivation as well. You don't want to be coming off court all embarrassed and not wanting to talk about the match. You want to be having something exciting to talk about. Maybe he wins the whole thing. Maybe that's what he needed.
Well, I think he's inside the top 10 now as well. Another one who's on the cusp. If he's not there, he's definitely close.
13.
Let's have a look.
So
he's on the cusps.
If he wins 10. If he wins the event, he'll move up one more place to 12 above Tommy Paul. Lorenzo Musetti only 10 points away, and then only 100 points away from Medvedev as well. So it's very, very close around that top 10 mark. But yeah, well done, Ben Shelton.
Yeah, exactly that. Let us know what you guys think in the comments section below. That is some of our thoughts on, of course, the two big stories, and that is Alcaraz surfing around with his new celebration. Did we even show the Alcaraz celebration?
Let's have a look.
Let's get it up because he has been surfing about. And the other big story in the Iga can't seem to get close to Ostapenko. Let us know all of your thoughts in the comment section. Here he is. This is Carlos surfing. I think this was, I was reading it, something to do with his team. They wanted him to do some kind of celebration. I don't know if it's going to stick, but I thought it was quite cool. Let us know what you guys think anyway. And we'll see you very soon for another episode, obviously reacting to all the final results come tomorrow.
See you then.